80% less space, 80% less work, non-stop harvest. Here's the originator and host of Square Foot Gardening, Mel Barthalomew.
Here's a neat-looking garden in New York State. Let's give this owner a call. His name is Joe Fitzgerald. And he lives in Hawthorne. Isn't it terrible when you get old, you have to wear glasses to see things? Well, now, Joe's got a very systematic garden. I want to see how long he's been doing this.
Hello.
Joe, this is Mel Bartholomew, Square Foot Gardening calling.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
Very good, thanks.
Got your pictures of your garden. They really look nice.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Had fun doing it.
I wanna know how you got started. Have you always gardened, and how did you get started with Square Foot System?
Well, I've always gardened, even as a youngster. I always enjoyed gardening. And I first saw your program a couple of years ago, and I became very interested in it. And I said, boy, that looks like something that would be fun. So the following spring, I dug up my garden, and I did everything that you had said in the book. It was a lot of work at first, but it sure was rewarding, because later on that year I grew things that I never grew before.
Is that right?
I had beautiful big heads of cauliflower. I have broccoli as much as I wanted. I've had just tomatoes that were so tasty and very good. And the big thing of the garden was that I found it so easy to take care of. The old garden, I used to spend hours weeding and cultivating and watering it. And now with the new Square Foot way, I find that the weeds are almost non-existent. Very small.
Right. Well, we don't allow weeds in a Square Foot garden, do we? How about your soil? What kind of soil did you have, and what did you have to add to it?
Well, I had a normal soil. It was pretty good. But what I did was I added a lot of compost to it, and then I put in peat moss and vermiculite, and I tested it ahead of time for the pH, and I found that it was very low. So while I did all this, I mixed up the lime and the fertilizers together, and it just worked out great. And the last 2 or 3 inches of the Square Foot, I screened all the soil, the topsoil I had put on the side, and it made it real easy to work with on top.
Right.
And I noticed on your program how I was amazed how you used to be able to take your trowel and, go down 6 inches with no problem, and almost do it with your hand. Well, that's the way my garden is. I can go out there and almost with my hand, I can just dig away the soil. It's so soft because nobody walks on it, and it's never trampled on.
It's really that simple, isn't it?
Oh, gee, I tell you, it's great. I kind of look forward to it because it is so easy to do. I'll tell you another little tip that maybe would help your viewers. I have a few grandchildren, and my one grandson, he's interested in the garden. And I have these little, very small seeds, your carrot seeds,
right,
and radishes, and he always wants to help. So I used to put them in his hand, and because his hand was so small, I'd say, all right, now don't forget, only put 2 in each hole. And by God, he could do it, which is very interesting.
That's a good tip. Well, Joe, we really appreciate you sending in the photographs and telling us all about your garden. You sound like the perfect Square Foot gardener.
Well, I certainly am. And I tell you, I preach it to everybody. I have quite a few friends that have started it because they couldn't believe that I could get as much out of a small area as I do.
That's wonderful.
With very little effort. It really is nice.
Okay, Joe, thanks again for sending everything in, and keep taking pictures and send them in to me. I'd like to keep staying in touch with you every year.
Okay, I sure will. Thank you.
Good. Bye now.
All right, bye.
I told you it was easy, didn't I? I never expected him to say all that. I'm almost a little embarrassed. It sounds so great. Really is a good system now. I hope you'll try it. Oh dear. This is not the time to drop a litter on the floor. I haven't been following my own advice. I worked too hard this weekend, and now I'm spending a couple of days with a cane to try and help out. Well, you know, we get more and more mail from people who say because of age or physical limitations, they've had to stop gardening. But now with square foot gardening, they're able to start all over again. And that really makes me happy because square foot gardening is so easy and there's really no hard work to it. I want everyone to really enjoy gardening, no matter what their situation is. And to help all those folks, we've decided to do some special segments on Take It Easy Gardening. And I'm going to show you each week some special tools or methods that's going to help you. Now, we're going to cover things like how to get more strength in your hand for holding those tools, different tips on saving the back and bending over, getting up and down, kneeling, reaching out, all the different things that cause those aches and pains when you work too hard. And since the primary cause of those aches and pains is the back, this first week we're going to tell you how to save the old back. You know, when selecting tools for your yard and garden work, you want to pick something that's the size and the weight that's compatible with your size and weight and your age and your physique. For example, when you're raking, you can get a rake like this. Look at the size of that head. Beautiful, large, going to rake a lot, but it's too much for me. I'd much rather have something this size. Now look at the difference of those two. You can tell that there's going to be a lot of work with this one, so I'm going to get rid of that and not be tempted to doing too much work all at once. And the other nice thing about square foot gardening is that since it's all so condensed, it forces you to pick smaller tools, lighter weight too, and that means less work, and it doesn't hurt the old back when you're doing less work. Look how nice that fits right in between our blocks. We can, there we are. Okay, now the next thing is the length of the handle. For example, look at this old-fashioned hoe. I keep it just as an antique, but look at that. You know right away that's too short for someone as tall as I am. And as soon as you pick that up, you got to start bending over. Look at my back. Immediately, I have to bend over. Look at the difference here in this height. Here's my action hoe. You can tell right away that's probably a good height for me. So, you know what we'll do with that hoe? The action hoe is nice because first you can do two hands, or it works so easy you can stand up straight, watch my back now, and use just one hand back and forth like that. Remember, all you're doing is chopping off the weeds right at the surface level. You're not digging into the soil like a regular hoe. So keep that in mind too. Well, the next thing are shovels. Now, you can get a shovel like this. Look at the size of that. Heavy. Boy, that'll never break. Of course, for a square foot garden, you really don't need it. But look at this. As soon as I put that in, now watch, you know I have to start bending over with the back to be able to lift that. And all that weight's going right down my spine, and that's going to hurt. So we don't want big shovels either. I'll show you one I really like. Look at the size of that. It looks kind of silly at first, but you're going to see how easy that is to use in your square foot garden. First of all, I'm not going to bend over, I'm going to squat down. I'm going to show you an easy way to do it. First, we put that in the ground, and we use that to help lower ourselves down. Now look at this. Oh, that's nice. Now here's what I'm doing. I'm not going to kneel. I know a lot of you can't kneel very well, but I've got this one leg bent, and after a while that's going to get a little stiff, but this one isn't. See, this is extended like that, and that gives me good support, almost like an outrigger. Well, here's how I'm going to dig. I'm just going to chop like this. Notice I'm sideways, and there's no strain in my back. In fact, if you think about it, it's like paddling a canoe. I'm just reaching out like this and just digging away. I've got a nice blade here with a point on it. I've got a D handle so that I can twist and turn, but when I'm all through and get all that mixed up and leveled out, I can get up easily. Watch. Put that in the ground, two hands there, and just push myself right up. Boy, that's nice. I tell you, that's really enjoyable gardening.